Hello everyone, welcome to Self Love You. Today I'm going to answer a question from a viewer that I received. He came and found me and came and asked me a question. And he says, I've been trying to express my repressed emotions for years. Many therapists, group therapy, childhood scene reenactment, meditation. I'm still resistant and blocked. I am very aware of the negative, not good enough core belief that I carry with me always, but it's like I'm trapped and can't break out of the cycle of sadness, anxiety, and despair. Can you recommend a person or program to work for someone like myself? Yes, I can recommend a person and I can recommend a program. You know what? It is so likely that by the time I'm here, sitting here doing this video, you probably already found your own answers. Because that's the way healing is. It's like we feel really urgent at the situation, and then we push for the healing, and then we get a breakthrough. It's like a spiral situation, and that's what it's like. Whenever you're going and you're healing from childhood abuse, childhood trauma, you're never finished. You're always going to have work to do, but you can get over the bulk of the work. You can get over the major stuff, right? Okay. So talking about childhood trauma and talking about releasing the repressed emotions and talking about dealing with the core sense of not being good enough, right? Of I'm not good enough, of being unworthy. So that's really what he's asking me about, which is a schema. Who was it that wrote about the schema? I always forget his name. But anyway, look up the word schema and schema therapy, because what happens is you have a program that you're running on that's saying you're not good enough. So really, you can deal with your emotions all day long, and at the end of the day, still not be healed, still not be finished. You're going to have more work to do, because it's not just about releasing emotions. It's also about understanding how you're thinking. And understanding how you're thinking, your victim mentality is actually digging yourself a deeper hole, and how you are doing repetition compulsion and repeating the patterns that you learned as a child. So it's about rising above, dealing with the emotional part, but also dealing with the cognitive part of rewiring your brain, thinking new thoughts. So it's the physical. It's rewiring your brain. It's actually creating neural pathways of safety and comfort and success and goodness. You know, it's about creating neural pathways within your brain. It's about creating new neural pathways, because so far all your neural pathways are the negative ones, unless you've done the work to create new neural pathways through visualization, through taking risks, through building new relationships, through getting out there, falling down, and getting back up again and again and again. So it's a physical thing. It's also a cognitive thing. It's how you're thinking. It's what ways are you thinking that are detrimental to your sense of self-worth? What thoughts are you thinking? What roles are you playing? I mean, that's kind of where I am right now, is really working on what roles am I playing in this situation. And now that I know how much control I have over this situation, how can I step out of that role? You know, how can I step out of that old role of, you know, being the one who feels not good enough, or the one who feels less than? How do I step out of that role in this relationship? Because you tend to take these schemas with you in all of your relationships. So learning to break free. So it's about dealing with the emotional aspect, which means going back, dealing with the emotions, dealing with the intense feelings, doing, you know, past the regressive therapy, talk therapy, emotive therapy, you know, but it's also all the other therapies that go along with it. And then, you know, like right now, I'm at a place where I'm my own therapist. I do my own therapy, and I do it on a daily basis because I have a good, positive sense of self inside of me that reparents me in certain ways. And that's another thing, is you have to reparent yourself. So in those areas where you feel weak and incompetent, you have to come in and teach yourself, no, I am competent and I am strong in this area. And this way that I have thought cognitively has been wrong. And you embrace the wrongness because you did the best you could. You just, you know, it's not your fault that someone sent you messages that you're not good enough and taught you a schema that doesn't belong to you. It's not your fault. And then you learn it's not my fault. Okay, if it's not my fault, then it must not be true, and I get to decide who I am. And then you come in with a warm sense of higher self within, a parent within that comes in and cares for you on an individual basis. When I say individual, I mean on individual instance. So, mindfulness techniques like, really listening to what's going on in the dynamics, really being connected to self. So what do I mean by connected to self? That means really understanding what you're feeling on a given moment. Now, if you're all jacked up on antidepressants and drinking or drugs or things like that, then you're going to be disconnected and disassociated from your truth. Or if you're all jacked up on the high of being in love with a narcissist, or, all jacked up and not really in with yourself, then you're not going to know what's going on. That's why you have to do this stone cold sober. That's why you have to face things without medication sometimes. And I'm not saying everybody should get off their medication. There are some people that definitely need it, definitely. And it just depends on, what you're able to do personally. I don't think anything's wrong with medication. But I think that even with medication, you need to have it to where you can at least feel. Because sometimes you need to feel grief, and you need to let those feelings out. And sometimes, my friend who sent this message to me, sometimes we dig a little too hard on ourselves. We're trying too hard to fix ourselves, and we just need to lighten up a little bit and loosen up a little bit and raise our joy factor, and just let go for a minute and not try so hard. It's like a CPTSD where you're just like clawing away at your internal organs, in a sense, where you're just tearing yourself apart. You're just so anxious that you're not just letting the healing happen and let it be. Because the healing process is open as a series of open doors. Our bodies are meant to heal themselves. Our minds can heal itself. Our minds are plastic until we're elderly, until we're old. We have plasticity in our brains. Now, granted, some childhood trauma can cause permanent brain damage, and there's nothing we can do about that. And there's going to be permanent things that, you're going to feel, but at one point in your life, you're going to get to a place where the things that you feel become small. And your truth, the truth of who you are, becomes big. And then as you become bigger and bigger and bigger as a person, and you know the truth more of who you are than who you used to be, and those bad feelings become smaller and smaller and smaller and more manageable on a day-to-day basis. So if you're at a place where you feel stuck with your feelings, then you might want to switch to another methodology. You may want to go and try maybe some law of attraction, maybe go listen to some Abraham Hicks, learning how to get your mind in a place of expectation of great things. I personally switch it up. It's kind of like exercise. If you try different exercises, it's more beneficial to your metabolism, and it helps you to, be more fit. You don't, one day I'll do cycle, one day I'll run, one day I'll do weights, or, try to do weights a lot, mix up the weights, mix it up. So you want to mix up your healing journey as well. Mix up what you're doing to get yourself healed. So you're emotionally healing by dealing with those feelings, those frozen feelings. You're letting them out. You have a safe person. You've got to have someone to help you out, because if you were traumatized as a child, then that means you're disconnected, buried underneath there somewhere. You have to find that inner child, and then you have to begin to foster that inner child, love that inner child, that child that you once were and still are, never goes away. Love that. You've really got to have a reconnection, a reignite, a repower. You've got to ignite. You've got to unfold your true self, which is within. That's the whole key to this. That's the whole key to healing. And I believe that that's why we have this pain. I believe that those of us who have gone through childhood trauma are almost like chosen to be in this journey. That needs to show a little more. Are almost like chosen to be on this journey. This is chosen journey for us, because through this pain, through this trauma, we are able to reach for something more and reach for who we really are, and, find truth within, because that's where it resides. And as the more traumatized you are and the more healing you obtain through sheer determination, I believe the higher you go on the totem pole of consciousness. Because what is it's Rumi says it's where the light enters where the crack is. So the light enters in this pain place, and as you search for answers diligently, but not to the point where you're ripping yourself to shreds, you're loving yourself through the process. As your light shines, and you let a little more light out and a little more light out. And the difference is that someone who's been through darkness really knows what light looks like. Someone who grows up in the light, they don't know the difference. But those of us who have known darkness and who have experienced trauma and overcome trauma and healed from trauma, we have this insight into what's really going on inside of all of us that no one else can have. And so I believe that's a gift, and I believe that the world is teaching, and I believe that we're here on this planet to learn, and I believe we're all at different levels. And those of us who wish to run from our problems and not go through the healing process and ignore the fact that we need to learn a few things, I think those of us who do that are going to go to the next place and have to go through more or something. I don't really know, and I don't pretend to know, and I don't tell anybody how to think, but I just feel like we're all here to learn, and I believe that there's a purpose for the trauma. There's a purpose. There's a reason. Because I know there's a reason, because of the extreme wisdom I have gained through the healing process. And so just knowing that alone, doesn't that make you feel better? You can have a victim mentality. You can have a victim mentality for the rest of your life. But there comes a time where you just have to say, you know what, enough pain. I'm done with pain. I'm going to take control. I'm not going to let what happened to me hold me back. And it's not that easy. I'm not trying to make it sound easy or like it's minimized, because the things that people have gone through are absolutely traumatic. And that's why it causes you to be emotionally crippled as an adult, searching for answers on the internet, watching YouTube videos like this, because it's so painful and you can't get out of it and you're stuck in a trap. I understand that feeling. But you don't have to have everything right now. And you definitely have a lot of healing from all of that you've gone through. Look at all the positives. Look at what you've gotten. Look at what you've gained through all of that. Rather than, I'm not where I want to be yet, and I've done all of these things. Say, you know what? I've gone through all of this, and I am here. And look what all I've gone through, and look how high I am up this mountain. I am really high on the mountain now. And I was there, and now I'm here. Surely out of all of this therapy, you got some stuff out of it. Surely. Otherwise I'm just, really, you have to get out of the victim triangle, the perpetrator victim, poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me. And you have to begin to rise up like a warrior, associate yourself with a warrior. Find a warrior. I would just get images of a warrior princess who's kicking ass, who is conquering every aspect of everything on the planet that I've been put here to conquer. That's what you are. You're a warrior. And that's what you've got to see. So that eyeball inside that is seeing you as, distorted, that eyeball needs to open up and see that is you, that is your higher self, and that's your truth. You're the one who decides. You're the one with your hand on the dial on if you feel worthy or not. And also do the emotional work, do the cognitive work, and begin to create new neural pathways that would bring you to places of joy. Listen to the law of attraction, Abraham Hicks. That is my answer for you. Thank you so much for writing me. I appreciate that. I've been thinking about you, and I am with you in I've been there, and I'm still, everybody's still working on themselves. Nobody's made it yet. If they act like they are, then they're lying. So love you, and thank you for everything. Y'all have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.